I have to say, though, I'm a little uncomfortable that my work is hanging next to.
Why?
He's been kind of stalking me for several years of like.
This is the Inkpulp podcast.
Okay. You have to do that to sync everything up. For the
So
editing.
you kept that part professional, but not all of it's professional.
I mean, I wouldn't even call that professional.
Yeah. Clapping your hands. What were we talking about before you?
That sound that it made. Mine is way better.
You do it. Hey!
See? Doesn't know how to clap hands.
You clap your hands again.
It's already starting.
Clap your hands again.
I had a mic.
Put your hands in the air.
This is the whole podcast.
This
This is what it's going to be.
Shitting on each other. And we were talking about
After 2 hours of setup, then we don't have anything to say.
we're
Anything interesting to say.
Mateo's coming in so hot.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what the podcast used to be, where like Mateo's like.
No, hold on. No, he's coming in the way he's supposed to, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You guys can't see it, but Shawn's. Well, you might be able to see it because Shawn's adjusting levels right now. He's taking this job very seriously.
It's the fucking DJ. All right.
Setup is what? Where are we? You tell us where we are, Matteo.
And we're in Parma.
Yeah.
In my really humble house.
Humble.
And humble is the owner of the house. The house is not so humble.
No.
Like just so you know, my studio is basically more than 1/3 part of the whole house.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not.
I think
humble at all.
I'll record a walkthrough,
Yeah.
and then they can speed it up and put it in the podcast.
Or what do you can go to?
Yes.
You can go to Jim Mahfood's Instagram and social
Yeah.
media, and you get to see the.
It will be
whole-
documented there,
Yeah.
you guys.
We're gonna-
So congrats on this beautiful place, though, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thanks for
incredible.
having us. I hope we're not going to get a chance to do it, but you get to see all the original art that's up on the wall, which I'm super jealous.
I'll try.
about.
I'll just try to get a bunch of B-roll of everything, and we
Yeah.
can put it
So
in the podcast.
yeah.
Okay, we're in
basically
Parma, your
the
house.
main goal of this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's the first 30 minutes of this podcast that are gonna be dedicated to you guys telling me how much you love my studio and how beautiful it is.
Okay,
yes.
let's start with Eric.
That's the only excuse.
Eric
like
has
the
some
only reason why I wanted to do this podcast
Just
is
to
that
show off your
finally I
space.
can show off and brag about my studio. So
Yeah, if you were a dog, you'd be wagging you guys are coming to my place. I get to show you all of my shit.
yeah.
It's a good looking place, buddy. I love it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
This
It's
couch we're sitting on is
it's
new. Feels comfortable.
I would say if you were an artist that you busted your ass for as long as you have, this is sort of the culmination of what it means to work really, really hard, and then get into a space like this where nothing works. I swear to God, nothing in this place works. We tried to get the skylight going because right now I'm in the shadows, like I'm about to steal your money. Doesn't work. The air conditioner up there doesn't work. Like there's
It's
a
all
ton of-
looks. This house just looks.
By the way, this is
Like
in your,
behind every frame thing that you
Yeah,
see, there's
there's like a
holes
hole, yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
There's
this isn't actually your
mice.
house. We broke into this house.
Yeah. Another comic book artist.
this is a much more famous, more successful comic book artist than you are.
This is the Sergio Topi estate.
Yeah,
It's a museum that we just broke into.
We are in his garden shed.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous place where like Shawn said, I hope we get B-roll of the outside,
I
which
will.
is
I'll get it. Yeah.
which is amazing.
and my dying dog.
No.
Oh shit!
Congratulations, bud.
I'm gonna
this
get
is really,
the
really well
address and
done.
everything, so you're gonna have fans just waiting outside for you.
You know, I've heard crazy shit like that before, though.
What?
Take it easy on exactly the it
Oh,
doesn't take
I
much
wouldn't do
for
that. I'm just making
it
it
doesn't
Well,
take
it's gonna
much
be the
for-
10 listener to the podcast. Are gonna
Right.
be.
Well, 5 of them Mateo's paying.
Right.
So
Right. We just met one of them downstairs
Right,
cleaning his
they're
place.
they already know. Yeah, they already know where I live because they come here constantly and
to
collecting
collect the
checks.
check.
so-
Of course. I
Okay,
understand.
so anyway, thank you for having us. This is amazing. This is episode 136.
6.
Yeah.
One
Well,
thing-
actually, I don't know when this is going to come out because this is
I'm
okay.
telling
This
you
is a
when it's
special.
I'm telling you
This
when
is
it's
a special
coming out.
episode.
This is
Episode
special.
136.
because this is going to require some serious editing. So
Ah.
I've got an editor doing a tryout on the Andy Belanger episode.
It's
Listen,
awesome. We're
just-
leveling up.
Yeah,
Not just doubling up.
Level
up.
Yeah, leveling up now because I think he's gonna take full credit of the fact that we're at his house and now we're gonna put more production.
Eric, I just realized we're not leaving here.
What do you mean?
This is it. Mateo's going to kill us all and steal the podcast.
Mm.
It's then
You're
his
gonna
pod-
be behind some of these amazing paintings. Your remains. Will
We
be,
are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You could murder someone and
Oh yeah.
Get away
easily,
with it.
Easily.
Listen, this isn't too bad. This isn't too bad of a place to die. This is gorgeous. A field out. I don't mind going out there, digging my own hole in the ground and going inside of it.
yeah, yeah.
It's a pretty gorgeous.
Do you see a light on the front of your camera there?
No.
That's probably not good.
It's awesome. Well, we can keep it in. It's really nice. Anyways, so
We're just gonna keep it. You want to mess around with the camera until it
yeah,
works?
let's
No.
try.
I don't. I mean, I've done everything. It's probably fine.
But it's showing up on the phone.
I mean, it's showing up on the
here.
phone and
Yeah.
it's
And
recording,
look,
right?
Worst comes to. Oh, I know why. No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
I know why. One of them records a backup to my phone,
Yeah.
Uh huh.
and that's the one that's lighting up.
All right.
But the other one's recording to the chip. They both have a chip in them.
Okay.
The phone version's a lower quality.
Chip Chipperson.
Listen,
Chip
this
Chipperson.
is not off to a good start.
Yeah.
We're
I
not-
think he doesn't want to show
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know the Italian and the Filipino.
I think so too.
So
I think
you know,
in
it's
the
like,
in
yeah,
the,
the lights is
the-
it's not
the-
on, but it's recording. And blah,
he
blah,
wants to
blah.
maintain it to be like quote unquote professional, but
Yeah.
this isn't.
Yeah.
This isn't good. All right, let's get through the introduction. Somewhere in here is going to be the fucking bumper. All right, so we're at Matteo's house. We were joined by the well celebrated, the amazing Mr. Jim Mahfood. Thank you for
Jim Mahfood.
coming here to Italy. By the way, you didn't have any plans to come to Italy, and then you said, "Hey, we're going to have a podcast," and you said, "Let me get on a plane."
I actually did weasel my way into this whole trip though,
All right.
because
Well,
I
so-
wasn't an official guest of Como, but
Yeah.
as soon as I knew that the homies, you guys were going to be in Italy,
Yeah.
to do all this, I was like, can I just come along and be in Italy? I don't
Yeah.
even care if I'm not a guest at Como. I'll
yeah.
just go to Como and like get you guys coffees during the convention or whatever. And then Matteo and Jason, shout out to Jason Shackner, worked their magic.
Yeah.
Gang connections. I don't know what it was to get me invited as an actual
Italian
guest of
intimidation.
Como.
It's more like Italian intimidation.
Even
but
though
yeah.
the Como guys were probably like, we don't even know this guy's art. We don't want him here. But
Yeah.
I weaseled my way in.
Yeah.
And
So
the
I'm happy to be here.
podcast,
I'm
and the
happy.
podcast is paying for your trip and everything
that's true,
because
too.
now we have a budget
That's
and
true,
everything
too,
because
yeah.
we're getting famous.
Is it
so
is it only
we
paying
have,
for Jim's trip? It's not paying.
Oh.
Oh, you're not getting money from the podcast?
Mateo, I
I'm
didn't
getting
talk
checks.
to you about that yet.
Okay.
That's a garbage.
Am I the producer now? Like,
It's a discussion for later.
You're getting a salary for.
oh, by the way, you hear this?
Yeah.
It's the virus, the one that Jim painted so
Yeah,
beautifully.
it's still here.
Yeah, it just
Ha-
came back again like the night before you arrived. So
Wait,
it
wait,
was
let me-
waiting for you guys.
Let me get this straight. Are you sick right now?
Yeah, the same exact sickness that I had in Seattle. So it got me.
yeah, I know.
So on the podcast, normally it would just shut down his camera. In this case, it's actually physically
He's
leaving.
Physically leaving.
There's
He is-
stairs
he is
that
going
Eric
down the
actually
stairs.
has to go down to
He literally left.
So yeah, basically it's doing the same thing. Like it's been 2 days now, and it's going down like it did in
But
Seattle.
that means the worst
so
part
probably
is tomorrow
he's
you're
gonna
be
get
fucked up.
back with a
And you're
going to
be
bang.
in bed here until you go to Como while we're over there partying.
Yeah, but there's another week, so probably in Como I'll be better.
Yeah.
And I'm not sharing the room with you guys this time.
No,
so it's-
just your family.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family. Who
Yeah,
cares?
you get Elias sick. He deserves it
Yeah.
for spreading. He started this madness.
Well, he was about to leave, and then I said, I can't leave this amazing podcast. It brings so much attention to my
I
art
can't-
and my stuff.
I can't
so
leave
I
this
have to
amazing-
Go back. I have to take this one for the team. It brings a lot of money.
I can't. Yeah, none of it's flying me out to freaking Italy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how
So-
amazing it is. It's so
Yeah.
poor. It's so suboptimal. All right, let's get to the host of our podcast, Shawn Crystal. The guy who brought us all together. Thank you for having us on again,
brought
Shawn.
all this gear
you. I
over
did. I
seas.
did.
Oh, yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
I did.
Took us
Awesome.
like 7 hours to set up everything. So
Yeah, it took a little while.
That's
But
being
it's
generous.
also all like it could have been done in 45 minutes. We all know that Shawn is easily distractible.
Oh yeah.
There's a ton of stuff inside Matteo's studio that will distract Shawn, not the least of which conversation. Shawn will be like in the middle of pressing buttons and like, hey, they're talking about something cool over there.
Yeah.
And he'll take a break.
Yeah. Well, literally, like we were about to start. It's like, okay, before we start, I'm gonna take a shit. Okay, this is the
What's that voice?
Right.
So
That's Mateo's
it's Shawn.
impersonation of me.
So
He hasn't done
okay,
that in a while.
okay, I come upstairs, and he's literally looking at some books. Like, Shawn, if you gotta take a shit, just take a shit.
I was
now.
grabbing a book to go look at while I was taking a shit.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
You didn't.
really?
ta-
All
you
right.
took one of our host books into the bathroom with you.
I did.
We burnt that book though.
It was actually
We burnt
Mr.
it.
Freeze's book. He wanted to use it after to clean up.
That's appropriate.
And it worked great with the bidet. The Mr. Freeze, because it's a little chill on it.
Well, actually,
Wonderful.
like underneath us, there's a full box of Mr. Freeze's book.
I'll be right. I'll be
So
right back.
I'll be available to sign them all to you, even the variant covers and everything. So you leave this house with 10 copies.
Mateo,
of
can
Mr.
I ask?
Freeze.
May I make a request? Can we auction those off and use the money to pay for the editing on the podcast?
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's
they'll
hard
take
to pay for that.
$10 for the
I
whole,
was gonna
from
say,
the whole
yeah.
cost.
That
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
that should be okay. Eric, I have to tell
Or
you.
we can pay the producer in copies of Mr. Freeze.
Okay, that sounds
It's basically worth $1 each copy.
Does this
So,
show have a producer? Who's the producer of this show?
I don't know yet. We just announced
Yeah.
it.
Just some guy outside that we're walking.
It's
Yeah.
it's a Cleveland. You know, he's the producer.
Someone out there watching, send us your audition reel.
We
to become
want you.
The,
Where's the camera?
to
Where's
become
my
the
camera?
producer.
We want you.
All right, what were we gonna say?
I have a story from last night that you'll appreciate.
Mhm.
So last night we go to dinner. This is after the travel. Like my mom, I am all fucked up. I haven't really slept. I slept
Yeah.
a little on the plane. I don't know what day it is, so I'm a little low energy at dinner. And I notice like everyone's kind of waiting for my like this is fucking delicious.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it. And then I said, actually, Matteo said something. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. It's like I'm just low energy from travel, but don't worry. Tomorrow, excited Shawn will be back. And he goes, he doesn't have to be.
Yeah, everybody was like, no, Shawn.
No, it's
That's
okay,
the
Shawn.
right amount of Shawn that we need.
What?
We don't need more.
I was
Shawn.
gonna say,
That's-
like, why
that's
did you
the right
why
amount.
did you remind him that he needed to be at that elevated and escalated level?
So
I was kind of shitty.
yeah, so it was clear my excitement is not welcome here.
You're
Jet-lagged Shawn is a
to
more...
be fair,
No,
Mellow
it's
Shawn.
here, Shawn.
I was
No,
gonna
no,
say
you-
it's
you got
not
it wrong. It's
welcome
not here.
anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Anytime.
Oh, it's not just an
Ramp
Italy
it down.
thing.
You know what? I
No.
thought. Can I be honest with you? This
Yeah.
morning when I was texting you to say, hey, what's going on? What's our schedule like? What's our coordination like? Because we had to go from our hotel to this place, and you weren't as diligent about getting back to me.
Right.
And so I thought Shawn's trying something new. He's like, typically he's the guy that's, he's Johnny on the spot, but not today. And I thought that was deliberate. You're like, you know what? I'm going to change travel, Shawn. I'm going to be the guy that doesn't get back to you right away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know there's a tactic behind it. I
what is
think he's gonna deny us that part of himself,
Yeah.
so that we start missing it.
Yeah.
And then we'll bag like, no, Shawn, we need you the way you were
we
before.
need you
yeah.
to be the candy.
My brother knows me very well.
Yeah.
Yes, I've turned it off because I'm mad at all of you,
I
except for
could tell.
Jim.
Oh, shit.
Jim's
Yeah, I've done
cool.
nothing wrong.
But and
done
you're gonna
that.
miss that, Shawn, and you're gonna beg for that, Shawn.
We'll see. One day,
I don't know if that's
2 days in, we're fine.
I'm
2 days
gonna,
in, we're fine.
I was gonna say I'm gonna take a bet. Which is gonna happen first? Us saying we miss that Shawn, or Shawn just cannot help himself?
He's trying like,
Yeah.
All right.
Like, he's gonna break at the most mundane. Like, there's gonna be a fucking trash can.
Yeah.
Out
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Como, and he's like, "That's the best fucking trash can I've ever seen, you guys. I've never seen a trash can
How
like
big is
this."
this trash can? How much trash can it contain? Do you know Matteo this? You know that? You know that?
Mateo, where do they make this trash can? Do you know this trash can, Matt?
I need to contact the company that makes it. I
Who's the
really want to
excited
know how
ones
much
now?
trash
I
can.
know.
There's so much animation going
We
on.
are in imitation mode. But be honest, are you doing it on purpose?
Actually,
now?
at breakfast
No,
today,
no, I'm not.
Shawn, you were excited about the juice.
Oh my god!
It was incredible. And you were excited about
I just have to
the-
say, in America, I haven't had this before. Pear juice.
Oh yeah.
Holy
It's very common.
legitimate.
shit,
My
that was
son
good.
likes it, loves it. We have it here.
I
if you
would
want
drink it all day.
Shawn-
And
Shawn-
then
If I
Shawn's
was
the-
gonna-
you, I would bring you some.
The coffee they made us at the hotel this morning too was so good that we each ordered a second one.
Oh, by
and
the
we
way-
felt
Really?
greedy because it's like, can we order a second one? We'll order one.
I also just
she made
wanted-
us a second one.
I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
but
to
it was
hear.
so good.
It was
for them,
delicious.
it's like 1 cent.
But I did
probably, so.
feel like a
Right.
greedy American. Like, oh, you made me
No.
this delicious cappuccino. Can I have one more?
No,
But
and you gotta understand. And in Italy, we brag so much about our coffee. So when an American asks for more, we just like, yeah, we're gonna give it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
should be
so,
bragging about your
yeah.
coffee. Definitely.
It was
But the
ridiculous.
second one, as good as it was, I think I wanted it mainly just to hear her say cappuccino.
Cappuccino.
Yeah, but you're not an
I
attractive
don't
female.
have the breast.
No,
I
exactly.
have the breast.
you have
not
the
that
breast.
breast.
I was gonna say.
You've got the breasts of an 80-year-old woman.
Yeah. With hair on it. So.
80-year-old
Even worse.
Italian woman.
We're 30 minutes in, and you're talking about Matteo's tits. Can we shout out the hotel? Are we allowed to talk about our hotels and tell them thank you so much for hosting us? You know where you set us up in these places. So can we say thank you to them, Matteo? Where are we?
It's called Palazzo Gozzi.
Mm-hmm.
And the two owners, they're a couple of hair. How do you call them?
Hairstylist.
Hairstylists. So there's the salon.
The salon at the bottom.
on the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
And the
then they
Veda salon
have
spa.
attached to the thing. They have They own a really old building called Palazzo Gozzi. It's called Gozzi. It's the last name, and Palazzo is palace. And they made like 5 little nice rooms.
Yeah, it's a boutique
It's a
hotel.
boutique hotel.
It's gorgeous. Every
It's
place,
wonderful.
Every room is curated to have a look and feel, and it's super updated. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful. So I appreciate being there. This is my second time being there, and when I told him, he was genuinely surprised. I was like, in my head, I was like, how many Filipinos do you have coming through here that you forgot? But it just goes to show that place must get booked pretty quickly.
Yeah, but Eric, I
They're
mean,
amazing.
You're being booked through Matteo.
Yeah.
So anyone that Matteo brings in, they just try to forget immediately.
They just think Matteo.
Yeah, yeah. They're just they're just like, here he comes again with his fucking friends. This guy.
These foreign friends of his, these weirdo artists.
Actually, yesterday when I brought you guys there, they gave me like a pack with a lot of coupons for my mom, because my mom went there like 2 months ago without knowing, and by talking, they find out she was my mom. So she didn't pay for anything. She gave me the treatment.
What a
for
great
free.
place.
And
Oh,
and
you
now,
didn't tell me
like,
that.
They gave me coupons for her.
Matteo is the king of Parma.
So hold on. So are you talking about the place that they stayed at?
No, your
you
place.
stayed at.
Okay, let's talk about the place that they stayed at.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
give them a
and
shout out.
they're in
real quick.
another boutique hotel close by.
Yeah.
Which is called Hotel Verdi. They're like
very nice.
3 minutes walk from the other
Yeah,
hotel.
very close.
And
Very close.
it's really nice. It's another style. Like theirs is more like chic, black, golden. And yours is more classic.
Yeah, very classic, yeah.
antique stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Because
Like
the
marble
boutique hotel,
staircase.
they call like boutique.
Right.
The rule to be called boutique is that you have to have one of a kind pieces. Like every
Oh.
furniture, every piece of furniture you have in your room is a one of a kind.
Oh, right. It's not
Oh,
shit. Right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got
That's how you get the name boutique hotel. Otherwise, you're not authorized to call yourself.
You're
boutique
just
hotel.
you're just a chain at that point.
Yeah.
Degenerate
So-
chain.
Well, thank you to them. Thank you to both of these places for putting us up. Our host in specific, I can say that he's a super classy guy, and took care of me and my wife while we're staying in town. So thank you so much to all these guys. But let's try not to break anything from the boutique hotel. I'm looking at you, Jim. You're
I've done nothing wrong yet.
none
I've
that
done
you,
nothing wrong.
None that you've sort of like fessed up to. But I think
Right.
Yeah.
Except
yeah.
there was a moment of concern at breakfast when she asked me if I wanted an American coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
What
and,
does
then,
that
and, then, and then I thought,
That's an
I thought
Americano.
And then Shawn was like, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, actually, no, I want a cappuccino.
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, right
Right.
choice.
Right.
Yeah.
choice.
Because people in the back were like looking out, going,
Oh.
like, "Let's see if this foreigner."
She's like, you American
Yeah, yeah.
scum. I'm gonna have
You
to go
want
get
us
a-
to- you want us
I'm
to
gonna have
water
to Go
down-
get a 12-ounce mug now for your big-ass American coffee.
They
She's like,
don't even-
no, you're getting a small little Italian
Right.
cappuccino. And
I
that was the
distanced
right...
myself from Jim at that
Immediately.
moment.
Sat
I
at a
walked
different
away.
table.
I was like,
Immediately.
this stranger will not leave me alone, miss. Can you please remove him from the premises?
All right.
So basically, what we say in regards to Shawn
Every
normally.
time.
So
Every time. We hand out
we
pictures.
don't know him.
We hand out pictures. We hand out pictures at the airport, going, "If you see this man, he's not with us."
Yeah,
He's
like you call Mr. Bean, like.
All right. So this was your idea to bring this podcast to another continent, right?
Yes,
What are we
yes.
talking about this time?
We actually talked about it in our Fratello
Yes, we did. That's
in
right.
our Fratelli Bros
That's right.
episode.
We did. We talked
decided
about-
then.
Yeah.
Which means you haven't listened to it. Thank you.
No, I listened
No,
to the
Eric
first
was
part
support.
where you guys were bombing on me, and I thought, like, enough of this. I don't need this stupid ass abuse.
We spent an entire. I don't know if you heard that one, Jim. We spent an entire podcast talking about the passing of Eric Canete.
No.
Because it was sick.
How do you tolerate these two?
I'm here now. Shitty podcast and all. I had to fly
Well,
across
okay.
the ocean for it.
What we are going to talk about today,
Okay,
what,
go.
what we're not going to talk about today is
Yeah.
Matteo and I did not
Yeah.
get matching shirts yesterday.
You're wearing
Yeah,
matching
yes, yeah.
shirts now, though.
We
Yeah.
are, yeah. And Eric, I got to say, and I'm glad we.
there's the special thing is on the back.
Right,
Should we
right.
show?
Yep.
No. Your mixer just.
It's working. It's working.
What does that say on the back?
Fratello, which means brother.
Now, Eric, I have one of those shirts.
Do
from
you
New York.
really?
And
Does
I-
it say Fratello on the back?
Yes. I'm in the crew, but I forgot to bring it.
Oh right, that was bad.
Yeah,
Like, that
Jim
might
fucked
cost
up.
you.
I'm out of the crew now.
Jim's
by
on
the way.
probation.
I'm kicked out.
Or
But
probation, or are we putting him in jail for this one? This is an offense.
Probation.
Probation.
I'm gonna,
Okay.
I'm gonna make it up somehow. but-
And Eric, if you look over there, the original plan, which we didn't do, I guess it's hot. I don't know how we would have done it. You see the green jacket? You see
Yeah.
the blue mechanic shirt?
Yeah. No,
We
I
were-
heard
we were
that part of the
gonna layer up.
podcast.
Yeah, the plan was to layer up and slowly take.
Yeah,
off.
and then you said like, "Oh, it's gonna be freaking hot in May. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna die."
Yeah.
I
So-
thought like, "Oh, please die." Please layer up so I can see you guys go into seizures and such. That was the thing. That was the idea of this podcast, is to pull a prank by putting on multiple layers of clothes.
Yeah.
You were going to stretch that into an hour.
No, that was a
Shit.
good 5-7 minutes.
You
Overall.
you really gave it 7 minutes. You thought you could
Yeah,
pull off.
overall, because
Yeah.
every time you take one piece off and then you talk about it, and then after 20 minutes to take
Yeah.
the second piece off, and then that's another 3
I'm
minutes.
trying to go to a different place mentally. You guys keep talking. We go somewhere else. Jim, do you have anything to contribute to help this stupid podcast get off the ground? Like, it's a
I don't want to
helicopter.
say contribute. That's validating what we're doing. We're doing such a great job. He's like, Jim, do you want to ask?
Any tidbit that they can, like, it's like a dog looking for a reward.
Right.
Any little pet on the tummy.
Eric's like, save
I
me,
would
Jim.
say, well, I've never been to Italy.
Yeah.
This is my first time.
Really?
I would say
Yeah,
to
yeah.
everyone watching, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super obvious things, incredible food.
Yes.
Everyone's cool.
And you're only in day 2. You're
I know.
already saying incredible food.
Yeah. Every meal so far, a
Yeah.
winner.
Yeah.
Beautiful women.
Mm.
If you like,
All right.
if you like that sort of thing.
Right.
Um,
Mateo can't stand
Cool
it.
people.
He hates it.
artists that have insane houses and studios. Artist
Yeah.
buddies that have incredible spaces.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we just got you.
you want to get to the point, if you're an artist out there, that you're good enough that you can just travel internationally.
I was going to say.
That's
at
a whole other game.
There's multiple sort of like, for me, registration points. Like, I remember when I came to visit you years and years ago, right? And you can go back to one of our earlier podcasts when I told the story about how my wife and I came here for the first time. You realized that it was we had just gotten married like a week previous, and you rolled out you and our Italian buddies just rolled out the red carpet for us. But I remember it was the first year that I stayed at your place, and the upgrade between then and now goes like, I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Number one, but the more important point is like, man, that felt like 10 some odd years ago. And
Yeah.
look how far you've gotten with your career, just based on all of the work that you've done. So, man,
Yeah,
congratulations.
congrats. It's
you.
amazing.
Oh,
that's
but are,
great.
are you worried you're going to lose the house now that you've drawn Mr. Freeze? I think that's
No,
we go.
that's why I'm
Here we
keeping,
go.
like, I'm paying for a mortgage, but I already have the total there in case something bad happens
Okay.
after Mr. Freeze. So in case something bad happens,
You're covered.
I'm covered for the mortgage.
I mean, you say in case, like it might happen, but it might not happen.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think it would happen, but then Eric started
Did I
talking shit
did I
about
convince
Mr.
you?
Freeze. and
Listen, Joe,
started
Liz, I'm
convincing
trying
me,
to compliment you on the amazing success and all the hard work that you put in. It's clearly showing up, not just on your walls. Look at you guys can't see it. Hopefully, Shawn will take photos
Yeah, I'll
of it.
take
Definitely,
B-roll.
Jim has. But the art on the walls in this place alone are something to strive for. Not just because of the art, but because Matteo's in a position in his life now where he can go like, "Hey, this is affordable and accessible to me." So anytime that I hear artists like, I don't know, sometimes you hear people like complain and moan about how we're not getting the recognition, whatever it is that you're moaning about, instead of going down a negative way, right? Find a positive spin to the thing that you're moaning about.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this stuff is approachable. This stuff is positive.
I have to say though, I'm a little uncomfortable that my work is hanging next to Dave Johnson's.
Why?
He's been riding my coattails for like many
There it
years. And I mean, he's out here. He's in Italy.
He's here as
Decent
well,
guy. You know, I mean, he's a bit awkward, but he's been kind of like, I wouldn't say stalking, but he's been kind of stalking me for several years of like, how do I develop a fresh style? How do I be as dope as you? And then I came in and I was like, oh shit, he's hanging next to me. It's a little odd.
If you take a look at it, right, there's a level of hierarchy. I think if you look at
mine comes before his,
That's
which I
what I mean.
am.
And also
Depending
you're
on
saying
which
your-
way
no,
you
no, hold
read
on.
it. If
His
you're really Japanese,
Jim-
yours comes first, but we're in Europe, so.
Jim's is also in a bright orange frame, so
But
it's
you're on
that
top.
much.
You're both on top,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
on the upper part. Like this is the highest place of the whole house. So
Well,
if you start, you should be like number 2. Number
I
one
don't
is Dave,
understand-
then number 2. And
But I don't understand why my page you cut out all the panels and they're next to the toilet.
because as it's all, but you don't. It's. I'll say this gently, okay?
Okay.
But
Please-
sometimes
please
it's
be
really,
gentle,
really
be gentle.
hard to poop,
Uh-huh.
and you just need as much sort of like,
inspiration.
like a visual laxative.
Oh, okay,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I thought you were gonna say sometimes you can't poop, and you're like, that artwork is such shit. I'm gonna throw that in the toilet.
I'm trying to be gentle. Like when you look
Oh,
at
right,
it,
you
your
did say
immediate
gentle.
reaction
For
is
inspiration.
like, I really need to
Visual
take
laxative could be the name of your next
Visual
art book.
laxative.
Yeah.
If you're real self-deprecating, people be
Yeah.
like, this guy's really down on his own work.
Yeah. Or
Can,
that
we,
could
can
be
we take the next 20 minutes to convince Shawn that his next sketchbook should be called Visual Laxative?
Or the name of our next punk band.
There, yes.
or
but
the name of this episode.
Well, no,
Oh.
there's a better one. The phrase that he wrote, the text that he sent us this morning.
Oh yes,
That's the
that's a
best
good
one.
one. That's a good one.
How was
sure-
it? How was it?
I don't know.
It was I traveled across the seas for this shitty podcast.
Yeah, let me check.
That's
I just noticed what might be the prized possession of the entire studio, Matteo.
Yeah.
Tell me about
I hate that I traveled across the ocean for this. There's 2 thises. This shitty podcast.
Yeah.
So that's probably
That's
a
the
little
name.
bit long, but
Could have used a little editing.
Yeah, we can edit it. Our producer will edit.
Right.
Jim, on behalf of the Italians, welcome to Italy. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, welcome, brother.
Having a blast. This
Yeah.
is incredible.
Shawn,
Thank you.
This
for
is
saying
this is your what? Fourth, fifth time,
Third.
How has it changed for you since the first time you were excitable? You were out of control.
Yeah, the first
This
time I was
third
out of
time.
control.
Third time. What do you
Third
see?
time.
Look, we got
Third
him to-
time's
we
the charm.
got we got him to admit it.
Yeah.
He's fucking out of control. All right, so
I've never not admitted it.
no, I think you've been.
I just don't think you guys appreciate
you
me for
denied
the
it. So,
amazingness
by the way,
that I
where
am.
we were talking about this, you're actively trying to ramp yourself down. You're like, hey, I've been here before, right? Show this, I'm gonna engage a level of chill that I have never in my life, and it's working for you. It looks really, really good.
All right, good.
All right, so third time, what are you
I'm
doing?
disappointed.
You're disappointed.
No.
Get him out of here.
No, I still would like to live here.
Right. Barring
should, man.
barring
Yeah,
family from home. Is that a declaration? Can we
no,
call Steph tomorrow?
I've talked to Steph
Okay.
about it, and I mean, my kids are like, "Let's go now."
Yeah,
But as long as we have my mother-in-law
sure.
here, we're not going anywhere. But one day, I would like to live here.
Matteo has a drive up. That is the most impressive thing
Yeah.
into his place.
It
And I'm
does
like,
look like when you're watching a movie and they're going to a very wealthy person's house.
yes.
The long driveway with the trees along both
And
sides.
it was lit, by the way. There was like lighting on the
Yeah,
side.
there was
I didn't
lighting,
even
yeah.
catch
Yeah.
that.
Here's the thing. It looks like that. And then we were going towards the house where it's like, oh my gosh, this is part of that thing in the movie. And
Yeah.
Matteo goes, that's not my house. That's my house over here. I'm like,
He's
that's not
actually he has a
thing."
little carriage house next to a mansion, and Mateo's his art is really it doesn't support him. So he's a clean he's a maid for the house
Those
next door.
skids cards paid for this house. We should have brought the album up here to show on camera.
did.
Skids, man, I had no idea. It's a knockoff Garbage Pail Kids series, which you
I thought you were
illustrated
talking about
10 years ago.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
10
you were
years ago.
talking
for-
about-
Everyone watching, Google Or is it online? Do you think some of the
I
art?
think something. There's a little bit of something online. You can
Skids
find.
trading
Skids.
cards.
Yeah, and it's basically the garbage kids.
Garbage Pail Kids. It's a knockoff of that.
Yeah. So but they added a little something to the card. So they're divided in teams. So there's the garlic team, the sweat team, the booger team, and the basically shit. They call it mud, but it's shit.
Different degrees of
Yeah.
tolerance.
And on the back, you can scratch them and sniff them, and they smell like their team. So they smell like garlic, smell like sweat, it smell like shit.
This is a real thing. There was a real thing.
Sweat.
And but it never went out. Like I actually have the packs.
You have like prototypes.
Yeah, I have the prototypes and everything, but it never came out because apparently there was something toxic in this
it's
scratch
shit.
and sniff thing. So yeah, but you can find something, something here and there. You can find. Yeah.
Now Matteo didn't draw them; he provided the smell for these cards.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I didn't mean art. I didn't mean anything about visual art. I just meant
that's my art. You know, can you do it? Can you do it?
That's his art.
Yeah.
No,
I
don't think so,
actively,
right?
I actively not do it. You know, I actively go away from smelling like shit and garlic and boogers. You know. All right, Shawn.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us. Always. Thank you for.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for
This
bringing
is-
all the equipment. It's
Sure.
and
Look,
just breaking everything in Matteo's loft.
Yeah, I mean, fuck the law.
it was worth it to use your sexy new travel case.
That's right. I got my
I
sexy.
want to get one of those.
that's
awesome.
Eric turned
looks
me
really
on to
cool.
that. This
shit.
is awesome.
Okay. So yeah, that's right. You had the first.
I traveled with it to see what the big deal was. I became a huge proponent of
You're
it.
converted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the only thing that I can see.
We are
that-
talking about Nanook, like shipping cases.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
in case they become a sponsor officially.
Yeah,
so.
well, I would hope they would.
Well,
be.
I mean,
send
we're-
us. By
we
the way,
have-
if you're in Nanook and you're one of the 3 people that we pay to watch this podcast, right? Please send us as much.
But
of
I've
this
got the
stuff as
other
possible.
companies coming at me too. So it's like, who's gonna fork up the bigger dollar?
Yeah, we'll see.
I-
We'll see. All right.
You don't have companies come. Like I had to register that in my head. Is this a lie at this point?
No. There's all the shipping crate companies in the world
Are calling you,
calling me, wanting
You
to be.
Eric. You know improvising, right? It's called a yes and. You every time you do the opposite. We start with something really stupid and silly, and you're like, no, you don't. It's not.
You've paid enough attention to comedy that you know how improv works.
Yeah.
You know.
I tell you, man, when I lived in LA, you can attest to this. Everyone in
Oh,
LA
geez.
knows a friend that's experimenting with improv.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, can you come see my improv at Upright Citizens Brigade or whatever? And every friend of the comedian is like, sure, I guess so. And then you go, and it's like, it's not that funny.
That story that you just told is the emotional space that I'm in right now when he's trying to explain to me their
It's
yes
painful,
and tactic.
It's awkward.
All of
You feel
those.
uncomfortable. Your
all of those
stomach
things.
hurts a little bit.
All of those things.
You feel embarrassed.
It's like
Like when you watch a Ricky Gervais movie or something, that he works a lot of the embarrassment feeling, and you're like, no, I don't.
it's like
wanna-
looking at the art in
don't say
Matteo's
that.
bathroom. You know, like that visual
Right.
laxative.
Right.
Every time I hear it.
So yeah,
What can you do? It's
Well, it's like if we were going to do an improv bit, I'd say, Matteo, after this podcast, let's drop Eric off at the hotel.
and let's kiss him on the mouth with the tongue, so that he will leave.
and Eric exits to grab what I think is vodka. It looks like a clear drink, but it
Eric, who never drinks, is now drinking vodka.
Yeah.
It's driven him to vodka.
This is an awful podcast.
It kills the virus. So,
Just gotta-
you know. So, oh, by the way, it's not just you here in Italy. This time we are a big group.
Yeah, we are very
You
good.
guys are a big group of people. The biggest that I had so far. Last time it was 6 people, but this time I have 11.
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Yeah,
You're doing a lot.
Yeah, that's why this year I'm not able to carry you around everywhere because last time you were 6, so I rented a van and we were able to travel around.
But
This time, in 11 people, it's really
it's too much.
hard to.
But you said,
I thought when he said carry us around, I thought like he meant like his career. You know what I mean? I thought he was saying like,
okay, no, sorry.
Guys,
Italian English.
typically, I would be the one that's leading the charge and
drive
getting
you around. Drive you around.
That's the other thing is
From what I understand, the reason we have tables at Como is because Mateo's like, if you want me there,
you need to invite
I need these 20 tables.
I thought it was the other way. If you don't want me to show up
and
wreck the place like I did last
There's
season.
actually I don't think we ever spoke about it, but there was a guy that a owner of a show and not in the States, in Canada, that I really liked that show, but after a while I was never getting invited, and I was like asking Jason like, hey, but why do they I want to go, and it never happened. Like it happened once and then nothing. And he explained me that the owner, he specifically requested someone, and if that person that was represented by Jason, if that person couldn't make it, no one else for the group would be invited.
Whoa, that's a bold.
Wait, so
The person I can tell who the artist was. It was Tim Sale.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
so he said if Tim doesn't come, none of you are welcome.
Yeah.
It
It was talking to Jason. It's like, okay, if you can bring me Tim, everybody else is invited. Everyone who wants to go can go. But if Tim's not there, nobody else is.
No shit.
But hold on, to be fair, right? Again, rest in peace, Tim Sale. There's a lot, like I rode Tim Sale's coattails into a lot of different shows.
Of course.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
That's not an insult to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, Tim opens up all sorts of doors, and he continues to do so to this day.
Thankfully, we have Klaus still.
I'm not.
That gets us into a lot of doors too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, no, but you're saying, I think if I can read between the lines, you're saying you're that guy now. You're the guy that, hey, don't bring Eric or Shawn.
That's what happens now.
I know. So we owe
That's
you.
how things are.
We just owe you a ton. By the way, let's give people context. We are here because there is a show in Lake Como about a week and a half from now. 2 weeks.
A week.
1 week. Because today's Friday,
Friday.
so next Friday the whole thing will start.
What's the
There's
name?
an opening event, so we'll actually start on Saturday, the actual show.
Yeah.
But, there's a big opening event.
I keep getting hung up on the name. It's Lake Como Comic Art Festival. Is that what it is?
Yes.
That sounds right.
Yes.
Yes,
We're gonna be there exhibiting. Mateo's gonna be the headliner, so to speak.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we mentioned Dave Johnson. They're joining us, the big group. Let's say the people who are gonna come with us.
Big
Yeah.
Dave
Big
Johnson.
names.
Dave Johnson's gonna
Dave
be
Johnson
here.
is
Brian
arch
Stelfreeze
nemesis.
is with us.
Jim's arch nemesis.
Yeah,
I'll get along with Dave. at
Art
some
Wall,
point.
Art Nemesis.
It's twice your size, of course.
I didn't say it, Dave. If you're ever listening to this, I didn't say anything about your size.
He won't ever watch this.
Cully
He
Hammer's
would
gonna
never
be.
listen
Cully
to us
Hammer's
for numbskulls.
You watch. Like he's gonna lean over to you with showing like, I heard what you fucking said about me.
He is a brutally honest man. I
He
don't want
is.
to get
Oh,
on
yeah.
his
No, I
bad
love
side. Yeah.
It's one of his redeeming qualities is that he's brutally honest with you. All right, next person is Cully.
Cully Hamner.
Cully Hamner is going to be there with us, and then Mr. Brian Stelfreeze.
Brian Stelfreeze. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
Now he's with our group, in as far as the people who traveled over here, but also Elia Bonetti is going to be there.
Elia Bonetti and
Matteo
Matteo Lolli.
Yeah.
The other Matteo.
Do you feel like when it comes to the name, Jason should have picked somebody that's not named Matteo to be part of the group?
It's really hard if you pick somebody from our age, more or less, like from the 80s, around the 80s.
Yeah.
Because like
Everybody's named Matteo.
30% of the people were named Matteo in that period.
But you didn't answer my question. Do you wish that he had picked somebody else, not named Matteo?
I mean,
You don't have to say it.
the disparity, like the difference. So,
Matteo, Matteo, you're going to hear this later. When he did that, he meant like skill and craft. He says he's up here and you are down here. Don't still be friends, but just know that's how Scalera thinks about it.
To be fair,
But I had to, the usual thing. I had to go for the joke.
I get it.
because
to be
I'm
fair
on
though,
board.
that's how Mateo sees everyone in regards to himself.
Even if you're
That's
not
true.
named Mateo.
Right.
But especially
Right.
if you're named Mateo.
I mean, he did that yesterday.
What'd he say?
It's just speaking of Sergio Topi. He's like, I'm here.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
and Topi's
Topi's
down.
here at the same level as Matteo Loli. So because
Right,
the rest
right.
of the world is here. It's not Matteo Loli's here. The rest of the world is here, and I'm here. Like here, and everything's here.
Sean, can you do?
Eric,
But that's my description, like in general. That's how tall I am.
Shit.
I'm sitting on a child seat right now for you guys.
He's
so
actually
I-
standing, and we're sitting.
Just so I can be. I'm sitting on 3 books and a child seat, just so I can be in the shot. Sean, this is 45 minutes into this stupid show,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
we've not talked about anything. Is it just hanging out?
Yeah,
That's how good we are.
You,
Look, I feel like every now and then we need to do episodes like this just to joke around and laugh.
shooting the shit.
Because people are enjoying that aspect.
I
of the
just want to
podcast.
make sure that Jim is accommodated because he. I don't know if you, by way of your body language, Jim, are you okay?
I'm just chilling.
All
yeah, I'm
All
just
right. 'Cause
enjoying.
These dum-dums will talk for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I already gave the artistic advice at the Shawnita. I was like, if you're an artist, come to Italy.
There's a value.
Travel
Gem.
international. Get to the
The
point where
gem.
you get invited.
Okay, so you said that. But that's actually, if you read between the lines of that, work hard, you can come to Italy and end up being a part of the show. These dummies, both dressed in costume. That's their
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Mic bump.
Listen, there is a tree from my vantage point outside your window. That is my Zen tree. Every time you say something stupid, I just look at that tree and like, that's so
I thought you
peaceful
were
to see
planning
that tree.
to knot your own noose and go
No, it's-
outside.
here for a reason.
It's so, that tree. The lighting around it is so freaking brilliant that every time you guys say something dumb, I'm like, I need to reset mentally and look at that tree.
And my dog dying sometimes.
God,
Oh no!
every time you bring that up, it breaks my heart. Knock it off. He's
Oh,
gonna be
no.
fine. Your dog's
I
gonna
don't
be
know about
just-
that, but
Yeah, he's old. He's old.
But I was looking forward to that dog dying. It
no,
just-
no, absolutely. I'm actually really sad about it.
Yeah.
But, you know,
You
we're
put
actually
your
concerned.
sadness onto us, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
take
I'm
some
able,
of my.
my improv abilities allowed me to take emotions outside.
It's hard to process some of the things that come out of your mouth. Sometimes you're like, my improbabilities and my mind just went like, that's not a thing. That's not how that works.
my acting abilities, skills.
It's
they
tough.
allow me to take all the emotion. I have a small closet here, which I open. I put the emotion there and I close it for later.
It's
'Cause
hard
now
doing.
it's the fun
It's
time,
hard
so
doing
I
this.
open the fun closet.
It's hard doing this
That was
remotely
such a
with you
brilliant
guys.
Performance. Such a brilliant
Doing it
performance.
in
It's
person.
almost too much to be in the actual room with
Yeah.
everyone.
I wish there was a monitor that I can just turn off.
Eric's like, I'm never traveling with you fucks again.
Because at home, you always have the option to turn yourself off from the show.
Can you imagine how many times it would happen if this was recorded like with cameras?
To be honest,
shut off for the
listen. To
whole
be honest,
podcast.
I've been looking forward to this trip for a long, long time. What I recall was the last time that we were here, Matteo was playing our chauffeur. But outside of that, this has been a highlight on my calendar. I've circled it and said like, I can't wait to be in that place. And what's even better is that last time we were just doing a lot of city to city traveling because you were trying to be with all of our Italian friends, trying to be as accommodating to our visit. But this time it just feels like we're just chilling out. We're going to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
We are going to end up going to dinner and doing our hangout times, but it's not as, our itinerary isn't filled with like, oh, we're going to stop at this city, which was great. I loved being able to experience
Yeah, that was a great trip.
that trip. But I think in this one, by way of like frequency, I think there's a little bit more chill involved, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, also in Como, you'll have, a good like five days
to
to
chill.
chill and do whatever you want. So it's gonna be
Having never been in that city before, that's going to be great too.
Yes, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. You should just travel, around the lake. There's so many.
Yeah, we have a day
things to
trip I
see.
think planned to go north.
Switzerland.
Switzerland, yeah.
Switzerland.
I say we go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm down.
Do it.
I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
And we should definitely, if we can, record in Como too. If we can do it like outside even and see all the beautiful sights.
Italian
You
tour.
are going to bring this dumpster fire to Como.
Wait, I have a house with a giant backyard that overlooks the water and the mountains.
My question hasn't changed. You're going to take this dumpster fire and now take it to Como and say like, let's do it over there.
Yep.
Well, you can't leave it here. You have to
No,
bring it
that's
within.
what I'm hoping we can do.
I think what's going to happen in the future is we're going to plan these trips and I'll bring all the equipment and then we'll set up to record. And every time something's going to be missing so we can't record. and I think the Saboteur.
Oh, the
is
Saboteur,
gonna-
yeah.
The Saboteur.
Or well, you know what will happen because I think in a couple of years we'll be millionaires with this podcast.
Yes.
So at every
And
location,
Jim, don't
we're-
nod your head.
So
To me, I'm like, it sounds good.
He understands
Sounds
what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And so for every location we're gonna be visiting, we have a setup that we have people that bring the stuff over
Right.
there.
Oh,
for
right.
us.
Well, what we're going to
We
eventually
buy
do is
brand new stuff every time.
right. So once we reach the $1 million salary, we're going to make individually each year from this podcast.
Just got
After-
like couple of years probably.
Yeah, right. So maybe by year 5, we're going to buy the Inkpulp podcast yacht.
Oh, yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and
sure.
the Inkpulp podcast private jet.
Yeah.
And Eric takes another vodka break.
You probably have something against yachts and jets. Probably he doesn't like them.
But speaking of sponsors,
Yeah.
this episode is sponsored by Strathmore Bristol Series 300.
That's how we're going to make our millions. Strathmore
Don't forget
sponsorship.
to smash that like button below.
where a couple of years is going to be McDonald's sponsors and
Yeah,
stuff. You know.
Italian McDonald's. We actually drove past one.
Oh yeah, there's one. Yeah, really
Which
close.
I was a little disappointed to see it. I'm
anyone
like,
go there?
oh.
Yeah. There's people going. We actually went when Francesca, my girlfriend, was pregnant because
She was craving it.
She started having a craving for McDonald's. How you call it? The
Nuggets?
French fries.
Oh, fantastic.
So we constantly had to go there.
Their fries
and
are
buy
pretty
French
good.
Fries. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just buy French fries, go back home, and
Yeah.
just eat them.
15 minutes in. See, I'm just counting
Eric's
down.
50
the
minutes of nothing.
Eric,
Another
would you
title
like
for
to-
the podcast episode.
15 minutes in, we're not talking about shit.
Eric, do you just want to end it early? Is that where you are now?
No, actually, when you said McDonald's, I
I have
didn't
a
care.
legitimate question.
Go, thank God.
Mateo, so we're in your studio.
Yep.
Downstairs is the main workspace. It's incredible. You've produced a bunch of awesome work here in the 2 years you've lived here. Did it change things for you moving into this space, having the studio, like different state of mind?
It actually, like, the change happened before this house. Like, my girlfriend and I, we tried to live together because no one has ever lived with somebody else. So we rented another place.
That's the place
you
I was
guys
at, yeah.
been there, and
That was a nice apartment.
It was a nice apartment, and it had a nice basement with a big living room. And my studio was in a corner of the living room.
Okay.
And I had a big, like, the whole wall was basically a window with a small backyard.
Nice.
And that was the first improvement that I had, because before I was just in an apartment and I had one of the bedrooms, I turned it into a studio. So the change was when I started working in that second studio with the window and everything. And I started like, I'm starting to really enjoy myself. Like, I can't wait to go downstairs and work.
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
going to be in a nice
Right.
environment.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I walk
Before
in
it
my
was just
studio.
four walls, you know.
Yeah,
It was a window,
yeah.
of course, but it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't nice. And since then, I was like, oh, it's really important to enjoy the place you're staying.
Yes.
at.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And since then, like, my goal for this house was like, okay, I gotta make sure that I have a nice studio placement, because I have to enjoy. I'm gonna spend hours and hours of my life.
Oh, yeah.
In this place, so I really need to enjoy myself when I'm there. And at first, my girlfriend was like, because I was looking at houses, I was like, oh, look, this is a really big space for me, and it's like, but that's too big. You don't need that much space, because she remembered me
Right.
working in a corner.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Just
right.
comparing to
Not needing that much space, and that's actually true. I don't need that much space to work. And then she finally got it. I explained to her, like, I saw the change, and now I really need it. You gotta understand that you go to an office,
Yeah,
and that's my
yeah.
office. That's where I spend most of my time.
Eric,
Yes.
did you throw up in your mouth a little bit listening to that story?
No, that was amazing. I was actually going to volley it over to you. You have your own space, right?
Yeah,
You did it.
yeah.
You are actually, like, I think your situation is unique. I don't want to speak for you, Jim, but, like, Shawn leaves his home, his domicile,
Yeah.
and goes into an office space because you
Yeah.
wanted that physical separation, right?
I needed that at the time I started doing it. Now that my kids are older and moving out soonish, I'm like, I would love to move out of our house, get a bigger house, and have my space in the house. I could see the benefits of that.
Yeah.
That I like in terms of time I could
Yeah.
use, but
Yeah.
I really enjoy my space.
Yeah.
I get in there and I open the door and I smile every day because I'm like, this is like, it's like a retreat. It's just my little zone.
When we
absolutely.
got you on the horn the last time that you did a show with us, Jim, you actually were, I think it was offline or something. You were like, how are you guys getting that great lighting and blah, blah, blah. And we had spoken about your setup, right? And you're like, oh, I actually cleaned up in here before I got on, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
But you were like, you're also in that, similar to Matteo before he moved into this place, where like, I picked a corner, I picked a section of my area in which but the thing is, single guy, that is your palace, right?
Yeah.
So it's unique to you, right? What's your experience like having your setup and like just setting up, like your artwork is all over the place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always worked in the home I live in, the apartment or the house. I'm renting this house.
Yeah, me too.
And when I walked in to see it for the first time, the big ass living room
Yeah.
was a selling point because I was like, oh, this will be my living room and studio.
Yeah.
So there's a wall in it with just all, big bay windows. I can look out. The neighborhood's peaceful, and I was like, this is going to be where I set up my studio.
Yeah.
I've got a couch over here. At night I can chill, watch movies, whatever, but this is like my main sacred space. And there's 2 bedrooms. One is a bedroom, the other is like a little office with all my books.
Yeah.
But I enjoy having my home and my workspace in the same space because I just want to wake up and kind of be able to look at the work and assess things and
That's
work
what
whenever.
I want to get there.
Yeah.
But there's a good aspect too of being able to leave your home and
I was going to
also
say,
having.
I'll say this, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't particularly, like, if it wasn't for the fact that my wife and I had set up these very specific rules, right, to say, when I go into this room, I act as if I am miles and miles away.
Yeah, but does she, and
Right.
she respects that?
Oh, yeah, but
because
we-
I had that conversation every 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
it was
was
like,
more or
but-
less the same with me as well. It took her a while for Francesca to understand that concept.
Yeah.
But the advantage for you is that Cassandra, works in the same business.
Actually,
like she's an artist too.
I was going to say, that's it. I think it's because my wife understood, like, when she's now, there's a part of our master bedroom upstairs in which it was like, it's oddly shaped. So it wasn't going to get populated by any sort of like, obvious bedroom furniture. But because of the space, there are these 3 huge windows.
Yeah.
And she's taken advantage of that by putting in her sort of like drafting desk, and she loves knitting and sewing and doing all those things, right? So she's using that space. And so once she started putting more hours into that space of hers, that creative space of hers, right? She immediately got like, oh, I don't like getting interrupted in here.
Oh yeah.
When I'm working on my stuff. She now extended that concept to me as like, do not, when she's speaking to our kids, like, do not make a fuss when your father is working. Don't make a loud noise near the front of the house where you guys are getting ready to go somewhere. So I'm like, that's amazing. But not every artist that I know of has a clean understanding.
Yeah,
like
no.
when I'm in here and I close this door, even when I come out to like grab a bite to eat or whatever it may be, like, it's not the time to be like, hey, I get to be, and by the way, I'm not so hardline about it where I don't turn into dad when I'm hanging out with my kids, but certainly there's an expectation there. Yeah. It's more of a surprise rather than like the norm, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So I if it were up to me, right, that's why when I look at Matteo's property, when I look at your home, I'm like, to your selling point when you walked into a place was like, oh, look at this big living room that I can, it doubles as my working space. Now when I'm looking at property, I go like, where is this separate structure?
Yeah.
Yes.
That I can like physically leave the house. Yeah. If it's a barn, if it's like a garage that has an overhead office space, that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at new houses. Like, how do I get myself?
Before this house, I found a couple that actually separates small house.
That's like what our buddy Tommy Lee Edwards has.
Yes.
He has his own building on his property.
Talk about that for a second.
Across from his house. I haven't seen it. I haven't physically
been
been
there.
there.
You have. Talk about it, Shawn.
But I mean, that's the dream. It's like, I have a house with my
When
family, but then I have...
The first time I went to Tommy's house and I pulled up and I realized like it's its own building. It's a carriage house for all intents and purposes. Next to his house, that's his studio. And it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It is the dream.
It is my dream.
Like, although Matteo, this is a dream too. but
Oh, thanks, bro.
but Tom, to be able to like have your own space, and it's like a 30-second walk from your house is ideal.
That's what scares me about having a separate studio. Although I understand the advantages of having a separate studio, what scares me is that in order to go there, I gotta clean up, I gotta put my clothes on.
And Mateo's a filthy motherfucker,
so it's basically I lose like 45 minutes to go and 45 minutes to get back, which means a total of 1 hour and 30 minutes in which I could have worked. You know, so that's the only thing that scares me.
I wanna highlight that. That is the mentality of a comic book artist. Showering and cleaning up gets in the way of me getting my work done.
Francesca's so happy that I've recently restarted going to the gym because I hurt my knee, and now I'm back after a few months, because if I don't go to the gym, I basically never shower. So that's the only time for a shower. So she's so happy. Or when I have guests, like since you were here, I've been showering at least once every day.
Or when I have guests.
Yesterday I showered twice, which is
it's shocking.
Wow.
It's shocking for me.
She's probably out celebrating right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's so happy.
Because typically you're a freaking pile of filth.
Normally, when you're at home, you're like Homer Simpson in your tidy whities, eating donuts and just drawing all
Eric,
day.
do you remember the last time when we were in Italy and we went to Matteo's apartment? Do you remember what he was wearing?
No.
He had on that bathrobe, that massive woolen bathrobe.
I wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't there for it.
Yeah.
No.
No, I think it was the time where you arrived just with Steph. So it was
No, because it was when you made dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He makes dinner for every time that we're here.
Not when Steph and I were here, he didn't make dinner. Okay. But it was the time we were here.
Did you hear that? He's still upset about the fact the last time
we were here for one night, and we went to my favorite part of the restaurant.
But I could still hear the upsetness in his voice.
Eric's trying to start some shit. You see?
How are you brothers with this guy who...
It's a disruptive element of this podcast. We got to spit it out sooner or later.
Yeah, we got to get rid of Eric.
By the way, Shawn, you were saying instead Steph, your wife, still doesn't understand the boundaries of
the division of like work.
Yeah, so I got out of the house. Now that there's texting, there's still not a clear division between everyone. I put my phone down, I work. Ding. Ding, ding. And it's the three of them just sending memes to each other, joking. Like, and
you got to learn how to turn that do not disturb button on, Shawn.
I did. Well, now that there's a few months ago, there was this nice update where when I turn it off on my phone, it turns it off on my computer.
Oh, nice.
It turns it off on my iPad.
That's awesome.
So
Matteo said something that's pretty interesting to me earlier, which is something that people oftentimes don't think about, and I'll help to highlight it, which is I knew I was going to spend time in this space. Like, this is going to be the space that I'm going into. Mm-hmm. I need to be able to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
That space. You don't know how much sort of like mental maturity that it takes for you to have an understanding of that space that you need to go into to be like, I'm gonna be here for 8 hours plus, a little more, a little less, depending on who you are. And if there's something that I can extend to people who are listening to this podcast, to be like, if you're an artist and you know you're going to be sitting down into a space, if it's approachable, if it's something that you can facilitate for yourself, find a way to make that place.
Of course, at first when you're starting a career, it's not your priority.
Yeah.
But you gotta be practical.
But even then, you need to be able to say, "Hey, I know this is within my means. This is all I can get right now. But I need to be able to find a situation in which I'm like, okay, I'm happy."
My first space, which I stayed in way too long, was a tiny little room with 0 windows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I would go in, and I was teaching full time too. So like, I'd get up early in the morning, head into that studio, go teach, come home, have dinner, go back to that studio. And I kept that space for far too long. It was a very unhappy place to work.
From what I remember, I think Sean Murphy at first used to be working in a closet room.
Yeah.
Which was literally smaller than this area.
It was tiny. It was big enough for a desk.
Yeah, big enough for a desk, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was like, when I saw that, I got claustrophobic for a second.
Yeah.
Did you work here?
That's exactly what I said.
10 hours a day? Oh my God.
Depending on what age you're at, if you're young and dumb and naive and excitable, just to have a career going, you can do that.
Vibrating.
Oh yeah, of course. It's mine.
Okay.
Because when I was in college and I was renting a house with like Mike Huddleston, Nathan Fox, 2 other guys, dilapidated art house, and I was basically the youngest, so I had the smallest room, and my room in the house was basically a large closet.
Yeah.
It was big enough to fit my drafting table, a mattress on the floor where I slept, and I think maybe dressers for my clothes, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I was paying like, $85 a month for this house, for this room.
Yeah.
But just to be in the house with all these other great artists and to be doing my work, I don't give a shit, because I was 19.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But people would come visit us and come in the house and look into my room and be like, dude, this is your room? And my first girlfriend, when she saw the room, she's like, this is your room? We'll be hanging out more at my place.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
I remember, and made me remember, at first when I started, like my first book was Hyperkinetic. It was an image book. And I was still living with my parents. And I didn't have a light table. So what I would do is that I would go in the living room, and on the table I would put a lot of books, pile them up in 2 piles, then have a glass from a frame, and then put a lamp underneath it. But after a while, we get heated, too hot, so the paper would warp.
Oh shit!
So it was a fucking nightmare. So I would just go back and forth from my room to the living room when I needed to trade something, because there was the only place where I could fit that fucking handmade light table.
He likes to find a reason to bring up Hyperkinetic on every episode, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Do I?
I don't know if you do, but
I'm trying to relaunch it.
I think you're trying to make
my
up for it.
subtle way
Yeah. It's your sort of like that was one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever had in my career. I'm trying to find a way to make up for it. Mr. Freeze is too new. It's too raw. So
It's actually the first the thing that made us meet the first time, because I was in San Diego for issue number 1.
Look at Eric's face.
Issue number 1 on the table.
Just let's get through it. Let's get through it.
But you weren't actually like impressed by the book. But then after you saw my blog, some quick sketches and commission that I did, and you contacted me.
I just hate that book.
I think Matteo, I think Eric saw your hustle. He was like,
I appreciated that.
Sucks,
I think it's everybody. Every time I see people who are busting their butts, right? Regardless of where you are in your like craft, obviously that's something that you can improve on. But there's something like, this is one of the things that I brought up with you, Jim. It's like when you're working, right? When there's a gazillion people trying to become a comic book artist, trying to get people's attention, people are like, what do I do? How do I stand out? And I'm like, how hard are you working for it? And people are like, well, I think there's a group of people who are like, man, that hustle culture is like really toxic and blah blah blah. I'm
you know what?
There's a portion.
Talk on that.
There's a portion.
Say that?
There's a portion of that I believe in, because I think it's because they're not employing the right things. Like they just think, hustle culture and like working all the time. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. That can be toxic. That can be overwhelming.
Sure.
But I don't think you're thinking about it in the same context that I am.
Right.
But also, there's a time for it. Like
there.
The problem is that when you don't see that it's not okay anymore, and you got to think about something else.
I think
when
that's
you're
there's a
time for it.
That's where people.
Yeah,
that's where people are coming from. We're like, oh, you're overdoing it. And you're like, yeah, obviously. But why are we talking about the obvious thing?
Yeah.
When you are, like to your point, Shawn, when you're young and busting your butt, like Matteo flew across the freaking ocean, knowing
with no money and no English at all.
Right, having like that to me is a level of dedication that you go like, that's freaking amazing. So when you get a chance to meet that guy or people of that same kind of energy, people with that kind of like dedication to their work, you're impressed by it, and you go like, oh well, the craft is gonna eventually come to you. Right, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
So I'm anti the idea of like overdoing it, but I'm also anti the idea of like, oh, you shouldn't apply yourself that way. You're insane. You're early in your career. You have to do that. That's critical. You just have to do it within. You have to do it within means where you're not burning yourself.
I think it's associated with an aggressive behavior. Yeah. So some people they don't. Especially when you're young, there's a lot of people that are kind of expecting things to fall out of the sky.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they are scared of the aggressive mentality or the go-getter.
I think this movement where they're calling this hustle culture toxic, I think I think they just completely are dismissive of like you gotta hustle hard early
sure.
in the early part of your days, and they just
For sure.
they don't want to do it.
Yeah, but that's why we end up talking about. I want to help highlight all the other things that can potentially associate, so it won't burn you out as much. So that's why I bring up things like if you're going to be at a space for 8 hours, right? Early in your career, you probably won't be able to afford a space like this, right? You probably won't. You're going to get closer to where Jim is calling about. He's got enough room for a mattress and a drafting table, but somewhere in there, you went into a mental space of like, hey, this needs to be my space for now. Right, you said it like you actually
builds
said it,
character too.
Not only that, but you said like, "Hey, I'm going to occupy this space because the benefit to me is hanging out with a bunch of these artists that I get to draw with, that I get to be a part of the energy, be a part of that culture." Like that was your way of like, "Hey, I need to find something out of this that gives me the motivation to be in a closet space." In Shawn Murphy's case, like I don't know why you're inside the freaking coat closet. He must have found something in there that made him happy,
No, he liked it back then. Now he has an amazing studio. He shared the
now
pictures
he's
from
got
the studio.
exactly
The
what we're talking
studio's
about.
beautiful,
It's like Tommy Lee. He's got a house outside of his house that's a studio and a garage.
Yeah, that's super smart.
Yeah,
that's really super smart. Find your space, man. Yeah. Find your version.
Definitely.
Yeah,
find my space or Facebook or.
All right, we're gonna end on that horrible joke. We should end.
I wanted to say it earlier because you said
Eric is out.
MySpace.
Eric is out of here.
Matteo made a MySpace.
I'll be downstairs.
Eric is now drinking gin. The vodka's gone.
He's drinking jizz.
Now there's gin.
Wait, I see a hypodermic needle. I think heroin's coming into the equation.
And
all right, that was a nice. That's a nice closure.
Right. Thank you guys for listening.
This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.